Are there moments in your life that you say to yourself, how I wish that I would just receive income without me going to that office anymore? Or I wish that I no longer wake up at 6 a.m., work until 5 p.m., but when I check my bank, I have money to spend for my family or for my needs. Are you tired of how your current method of earning and wish to do what you love instead? If you find yourself doing that, you are dreaming of passive income. In this channel, I hope that I can help that dream of ours come true. Feel free to pause, rewind, or fast forward. I will divide this video into three main parts. Number one, what is passive income? Number two, why do we need it? And number three, the types of passive income. What is passive income? Passive income is money coming in with little to no work. According to Investopedia, there are three main categories of income: active, passive, and portfolio income. The first type, active income, is money earned by rendering some service or doing business. Of course, this consumes time, energy, and focus. The second type is passive income. It involves initial effort or capital at first, but later you will reap steady fruits or income. Financial author Chinkitan differentiates these two by giving an illustration of mongo or mung bean sprouts and a mango tree. Mongo types of income are those that you plant today and harvest tomorrow or maybe in a few days. For example, an 8 to 5 job is a mongo type of income. You work for 15 days and earn on the 15th as well as on the 30th. The mango types of income are those that require huge capital or investments of time or money initially, but after a longer period of time, you will reap the rewards continually. Third is portfolio income. It is not earned through doing a job or service, but comes from interest, dividends, and capital appreciation. For me, portfolio income is still a type or subcategory of passive income or hybrid of the two, because by the definition, you involve initial capital, and through time, you generate money either with work or a little bit of work. In this video, let's focus more on passive income. Why do we need passive income? The main idea is that the traditional retirement plan does not work anymore. Here are three practical and financial reasons. Number one, social pension may not be enough. I say may not be enough because it would depend on how you trim down your lifestyle when you retire, how you prepare, how much you contribute, or how simple you will live by that time. In the Philippines, the government-mandated social security system is called SSS for private employees and GSIS for public employees. If you will depend only on social pensions, how will it look in general? An average Filipino with an average employment may rely on SSS or GSIS contributions to save for their retirement. But if you do the calculations, you may be surprised. Simply Google SSS retirement estimator and enter the details. Enter the birth date, month, and year of your first contribution and your monthly salary credit, or MSC. Let's look at the maximum pension, which is 20,000 pesos for self-employed. You will get this estimated monthly pension. Again, this figure depends on your birth date, your start of contribution, the ongoing policies of the social pension by the time you will retire, the inflation, and other contingencies like your future possible loans and critical illness benefits. The fact is, a lot of people were surprised and were not prepared to face retirement years. For example, I have family members who thought that the contributions from their employers for 3 decades would be enough to sustain their monthly expenses. Others I have known who are self-employed thought that contributing for at least 120 months is enough. What I realized was that what was lacking was financial knowledge and advice back then. Number two, life expectancy. People are expected to live longer because of breakthroughs in medicine, increased awareness in nutrition and exercise, and other factors. What does this mean if we are expected to live longer? It means that we will be in the retirement years for a longer period of time, and you will need that financial support to sustain it. Without passive income, you may be forced to find a job during your golden years, which will be more challenging because you may be considered by the company to be riskier because of your health, and it will be harder also because of your failing health. According to the World Economic Forum, our life expectancy is expected to be 82 for developed regions and 76 for less developed regions. Researcher Aubrey de Grey coined the term Methuselarity, describing the point where people will no longer suffer from age-related health problems. If you don't prepare, you will have difficulty in your retirement years. Number three, lifestyle pressure. Social media is highly influencing our concept of lifestyle and self-esteem. It exerts high pressure on what to do, what to eat, where to live, where to go, and everything somehow must be Instagrammable and hashtag worthy. And if we don't, Combat this temptation to keep up with the Joneses and don't ignore conformity to the world. The pressure will affect our future financial situation. As they say, we should adjust our ambitions depending on who we will be jealous of. So if that's the case, then we will have a harder financial future. The sandwich generation is the label mostly for the sad situation of many. Sadly, many unprepared people might depend on their children or work nonstop to support their retirement. As a result, their children will need to support both their aging parents and their young children. These children are sometimes called the sandwich generation. If this cycle keeps on repeating, the parents will make their children their retirement fund, and it won't end until a generation will decide to stop it. However, if you will prepare for your retirement, your children in the future can dedicate most of the resources to their own families, and you in your golden years will be financially independent, like a tree planted by the rivers of water, which gives forth fruit in due season. So, those are the three main practical reasons why build your passive income. Number one is that social pension may not be enough. Number two, the longer life expectancy. And number three, lifestyle pressure. There are two main types of passive income. Number one is time intensive, and number two is capital intensive. So let's start with the time intensive passive income streams. As the name suggests, these passive income streams are money machines that require lots of time to build. If you don't have much capital or money for a start, these income streams are a good way forward. These are also ideal if you want to pour in lots of time or don't want to borrow money to build your passive income stream or don't want to risk that money. So, number one, online courses. Building your online courses enables you to earn income passively. One day, you will check your account and see payments from enrollments at the courses that you built in the past. Why is building online courses important? Teaching a course allows you to help even at least one life, and this is fulfilling. It can change a person's life. I believe that as humans, we were created to replicate. It is a human thing to multiply yourself, whether it means physiologically through birth or mentally through discipleship. Don't make profit as your primary purpose. Money must be secondary. If our goal is only to make it, then we will be frustrated if we fail to reach it. The primary goal must be to build another person with the knowledge that we have accumulated, organized, and shared, and we see that it builds them as it builds us. Knowledge is meant to be shared. What are the possible topics for an online course? Experts suggest focusing on an overall topic that you have knowledge about and where you can build subtopics and deeper studies later. Try to assess your life situations, unique experiences, and passions. You can teach anything ranging from how to live life as a seafarer, overseas worker, or how to live in a certain locality. You can also build courses on gym exercises, how to use certain software for beginners, programming languages, cooking courses, cultural practices, real estate marketing and sales, and so on. And what are the forms? You can share your course by making a video, such as recording yourself and your screen, making audio recordings, blogging, or even creating interactive quizzes. Where can you build your online courses? The top platforms where you can build your online courses are Skillshare, Coursera, Udemy, and Kajabi, or within your own website. And here are the foundations. Selling online courses mean that people have to pay first before accessing that knowledge. This is called gated content or paid content. But people won't easily enter their credit card details or pay you money without trusting you first. To do this, you need to build trust, authority, and rapport. You can do this by offering free content and exposing yourself to your target audience. And here are the ways to build this foundation. First is build a Facebook group or community group. Facebook has a large user base that most of your friends are already using for years. Facebook is good because it can help you build lasting relationships, trust, confidence, and familiarity in a cheap way. With Facebook, you can position yourself as a go-to expert in your field and even create multiple pages focusing on your different specialties. When you have an organic post that gains a lot of organic views, try to boost it by paying Facebook because if it is being commented on, shared, and liked by a non-paid audience, there's a high chance it will be liked with a paid audience. Also, don't forget to build your email list. When your audience may no longer be using Facebook, most likely they may still be using their emails. You can build also your own FB group based on your location, such as being in the same subdivision, suburb, barangay, or city. You can also build by interests like motorcycles, cooking, photography, and you can also build by life situations such as being single parents, cancer survivors, solo travelers, and you can also build by advocacy such as pet adoption or recycling. You can also combine categories like Yamaha NMAX in Manila or motorcycle brands in a certain locality so that your community will be highly relevant and engaging. Within a group, create a sense of community like organizing meetups, rides, electing officers, collecting monthly dues, printing t shirts, jackets, or stickers, or doing outreach work. You can also invite other groups and have a fellowship together. Increase trust and likability by encouraging volunteerism to help members post group activities and live stream. Make sure to create a group photo and a well written about us section. Next, build a YouTube audience. YouTube is dubbed as the world's second largest search engine. It can help other people find you through searches, suggestions, and if your content matches their interest, you may appear on their YouTube homepage. Before selling an online course, it is recommended that you give value first for free. How can people trust you with their money if they don't experience or know you first? Later, I will share how to build your YouTube audience and how to earn through affiliates, ads, and sponsorships. Next, boost your exposure through podcasting. Podcasting is another way to promote your content or brand. Podcasts are becoming popular because it does not need the audience's full attention. People use podcasts when they are doing other things like driving, doing exercises in the gym, or babysitting. Unlike TV ads, people can pause it or listen to it at their own pace at their own time. Podcasts can also be downloaded and do not consume very big amounts of space in phones. People can download and listen to it while on their vacations or unplugged moments. Podcasts can also be listed on various devices such as phones, laptops, desktops, and Apple iPods. Podcast creators can also easily record audio and upload them on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. In 2022, here are the statistics of podcasting. 78% of Americans are aware of it, while 91% of Australians are aware of it. The Philippines has 31 million podcast listeners. It is the biggest in Asia, according to Spiralytics.com. And 41% of Americans listen to podcasts on a monthly basis. You can earn also by cross-selling products, selling souvenirs, or branded items. You can also raise listener donations. You can basically create good content and convince your audience to support you via funding websites like patreon.com. Next is advertising. This is usually done when a podcaster shares a promo code during the podcast so that the advertisers will know how many converted through that podcast episode. And as we discussed, you can promote your online courses through your podcast. One of the most lucrative passive income is Kindle Ebook Publishing. The best price for an ebook is between $2.99 to $7.99, but $2.99 is the most popular. With that price, you will receive 70% royalty or $2.09 plus more if you sign up for the KDP Select program. So if your ebook sells 10 copies a day, you will receive $627 per month, which is a decent amount for passive income, and that's just for one ebook. The first step is to figure out your expertise. Knowledge, experiments, and practical experiences on what you write about are important for you to produce unique and authoritative content. Considering if you'll write a fiction or nonfiction is important as it forms everything on top of your content. Next is to deliver the titles that are in the bestsellers list of your expertise. If possible, read and research them and take note of the ideas of the authors. Find missing points or use your existing resources to capture them. Start with abundance of ideas and write your musings in a commonplace notebook. The worst thing is to memorize them because our brains are not that good remembering. At this point, your mind is still whirling, so don't mind the grammar first or write perfect sentences. Just let your brain juices flow. Use word prompts. Word prompts are words, phrases, sentences, and even pictures that spark your imagination and enables you to write in your own words. Next is outlining. Create 3 to 5 headings and under each of them create 5 subheadings. Then transfer your ideas and word prompts from the commonplace notebook under these outlines. Expanding your word prompts according to your own words is the next step. The best thing is when you create an original material out of your own words. Be direct to the point if it's nonfiction. Make it your aim to create 250 words per subheading. So, if you have 5 headings with 5 subheadings each, you have a total of 6,250 word ebook, which is sufficient. A typical ebook does not need to have 25,000 words. 5,000 to 7,500 words will be okay. Perform the first edit, then read the entire book to perform the second edit, where you improve grammar, punctuation, and layout. You may also let someone edit it. Advertising is one way to generate passive income. This is done by displaying ads to your platform, such as your website, video, or any property. Digitally, you can earn through ads by enabling them in your YouTube videos or blog. When someone wants to advertise their product or service, they may go to Google Ads, for example, and pay Google to receive views, clicks, or calls. In order for Google to find this audience, Google will place ads on the content that they host. So Google has a way to determine which audience may have interest in the products of the advertisers or services of them. In return, Google will pay you if you're the owner of the content where advertisers gained exposures, clicks, or leads. Whether you are making YouTube videos or blogs, make sure that you focus on one main idea or one main topic. Afterwards, you can use tools like Keyword.io, Google Keyword Planner, Google Search Suggestions, and current events to create content that will drive traffic to your site or channel. Also, consider topics with advertisers that are most likely to pay higher and also evergreen. For example, if your target audience are businessmen, most likely they have the money to spend and you are most likely going to have a higher income per 1,000 viewers than having a student audience. Your income may also differ if your audience is mainly from the USA as compared to an audience from the Philippines. This is because the audience in the US may have different spending power than the Philippines. But if you will create for a more lucrative topic, you may also have a high competition. Creating content in a less crowded, low competition, but interesting topic will generate for you better rewards. Evergreen content are those content that are still searchable and still relevant even after a longer period of time. Here are some tips from Tamkov Smith's book, 10 Ways to Grow YouTube Channel. These are just a mixture, some of them are mine. Number 1, engage with your audience. Respond to comments, put links to your socials, do live, and say hi to your viewers regularly or time to time. Mention them in your video. Number 2 is promote in other social media channels. Link your channel from your blog, website, and social media. Number 3, do interviews with other creators in your industry. Number 4, repurpose your content in other media to promote your brand. For example, create a video from your blog or vice versa, or edit your video into shorter clips. Number 5, create attractive thumbnails and titles, but make sure that your title really reflects what your content really is and deliver your promise. Use A and B testing to determine which title or thumbnail works better. Number 6 is upload frequently or regularly. Continually feed your target audience. This will also benefit you in the long run to continue honing your expertise and deepen your knowledge. Regularly check your YouTube analytics and monitor your video impressions, audience retention, and watch time. This gives you idea what sections to improve and what topics to create and the typical length for each segment. Number 4, affiliates. Affiliate passive income allows you to earn commissions by marketing another. This is usually done online by placing links in your content and leading people to another company's service or product page. For example, you may build a Facebook group on cats and create a reputation in that online community that you are good in helping cat owners. You constantly review and recommend products. You sign up for an agreement with a company, let's say Amazon in the US or Shopee, Lazada, or Alibaba in Asia. They will then provide you with a special link for certain products which you can promote. Every time people click that link or by using that link, you earn passive income. But be careful because it's unethical to post affiliate links without transparent notice that they are affiliate links. Some customers may believe your recommendation is in good faith only, hence creating a bad experience if it's actually an affiliate. Social media platforms are now requiring people like influencers or celebrities to disclose whether the product they are promoting is a sponsored post. So without it, you may lose audience. You can also do this in not just in Facebook, but through blogs, YouTube, or TikTok videos. Next are portfolio income streams. As stated earlier, portfolio income is one that comes from interests, dividends, and capital appreciation. I also submit that this is a subcategory of passive income because it requires initial capital investment, but you can earn without doing active work later. Here are the different types of portfolio income streams. First is the stock market. A stock market is a place where buyers and sellers meet to exchange shares or ownership of publicly traded corporations. It's like a wet market like Divisoria in Manila or Libertad in Bacolod City. But instead of buying stuff like chicken or rice, you buy a certain portion of ownership for a corporation. There are two basic approaches to stock market investing. First, capital gains, and second, dividend investing. Capital gains means that you are after the growth of the value of the shares. Hence, your aim is to buy a stock at one price and hopefully sell it at a higher price later on. On the other hand, dividend investing is buying the shares of a company today that pays steady dividends, usually paid every quarter or every year. So, stock investing for capital gains. Best-selling author Matthew Crater said that the stock market is the greatest opportunity machine ever created. There are two kinds of people in the stock market. First, those who love the dopamine, the rush, the excitement for quick money gains while trading stocks. They buy and hold the stocks for hours, days, or weeks and then sell them. These are called traders. Second, those that want to get rich slowly and quietly over the years. They buy and hold the stocks and this can take up years. These are called investors. Whether you are a trader or investor or a hybrid of the two, there is room for you in the stock market. And what is a stock? It is a share of ownership of a company. For example, when I buy 100 shares of SM Malls, I become a partial owner of SM. I am called a shareholder. Another way to understand this is to think that the whole SM is one whole pie, and this pie is divided into 1.2 billion slices, and this is called outstanding stocks. As of the time of this recording, each slice costs 800 pesos. So multiply that to 1.2 billion slices and the worth of the whole pie of SM Malls is around 960 billion pesos. This is called market capitalization. If I buy 100 shares now, I own 100 out of 1.2 billion shares or around 80,000 pesos worth of SM Malls today. When talking about investing, you may have heard about Warren Buffett as one of the world's most successful investors. He is the god of the stock market. He owns Apple, Coke, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and Wells Fargo, among others. But how does Warren Buffett invest? In general, he typically invests by buying a share at a wonderful price which is below the company's actual value or worth, with the expectation that the company will grow over the long term. But what is a wonderful company? For example, he owns shares in Coca-Cola since 1998, but how did he know back then that Coca-Cola will grow big? Number one is hindsight. It's the ability to predict the company's marketability in the coming years. He picks companies that will be around 20 years from now on or so. But what is the most important factor that Warren Buffett uses to say it will sustain? This is the most important factor: pricing power. He wants to own companies with good pricing power. And what is pricing power? Pricing power means that a company has the power to raise prices without losing customers. He said that the single most important decision in evaluating a business is pricing power. If you've got the power to raise prices without losing business to a competitor, you've got a very good business. And if you have to have a prayer session before raising the price by 10%, then you've got a terrible business. For example, if Apple wants to raise its prices or sell its iPhone for a higher price than Android phones, people won't bother because it is Apple, it is iPhone. It has a strong brand with a strong pricing power. Apple has less competition also because it's the brand that has a complete computer ecosystem ranging from phones, desktops, laptops, watches, earphones, and even software like TV and arcade games. In contrast, if you sell gasoline, and you try to increase the price, people will complain and will most likely leave your gasoline station and go to your competitors. This means that you do not have good pricing power. So for Warren, a good company to invest in now is the company that has a good pricing power. In contrast, a company with a weak pricing power cannot help but to lower their prices and margins, hence lowering their quality, and it will then result in being eaten up by the competition. To invest in stocks, you can use the Robinhood app or website in the US, but if you want to invest in US stocks but does not live there, like me, you can use financial platforms that offer foreign investment solutions like Atram of Gcash in the Philippines, where you can invest in US tech companies like Apple, Microsoft, Visa, and Google. You can also go to your stockbroker or your stock exchange and inquire about the list of stockbrokers, or you can go to your bank so that you can invest in stocks. Next, dividend investing. Buying stocks that regularly pay dividends and holding them for a long period of time is a great way to build passive income. There's no better feeling than waking up in the morning and suddenly finding cash in your account which came from dividends. What is a dividend? To understand it, you must first know what a company profits are. When a company makes profits, it will usually do two things. Number one, to reinvest their profits back to the company, such as buying new assets or upgrading facilities. Number two, distribute some of the profits to the stockholders. I went to my online stockbroker account and here is a screen recording of all the dividend yields for certain periods. You can also check out the website of the stock exchange. For example, the Philippine Stock Exchange shows not only the historical dividends but also the upcoming or projected ones. This gives you idea what dividend stocks to consider and buy. Here are 4 tips in buying dividend stocks. Tip number 1, the Lindy Effect. What is very important principle in choosing dividend stocks? In Matthew Cratter's book, Dividend Investing Made Easy, he shares a powerful shortcut called the Lindy Effect. It came from a cafe in New York where actors used to gather after Broadway shows. They noticed that if a show lasted for 100 days, it has a probability to last for another 100 days. It means that the probability to last longer comes with age. Basically, the probability for living organisms to die increases with age. For example, plants, animals, and humans have a higher probability of dying as they get older. But this has an opposite effect with non-organic entities such as works of art, shows, and corporations. For example, people have been listening to the masterpieces of Beethoven since the 1800s, meaning that for the next 200 years, it is more probable that people will still be listening to them. On the other hand, people have been listening to Justin Bieber since around 2009, and it is also probable that his music may also last for the next years. But comparing Justin Bieber and Beethoven's music, which do you think will probably last for the next 200 years? Justin Bieber or Beethoven? Again, this is only a probability. No one knows about our tomorrow, but it is most likely that since Beethoven's music survived for more than 200 years, it is probable to survive in the next 200. So, applying this principle to dividend stocks, which company has a higher probability to keep releasing dividends? Coke, which was incorporated in 1919, or a company that was only incorporated in 2004? Of course, it's Coke. Unless, of course, along the way something really revolutionary happens to an industry or a great breakthrough happens like when what happened to Kodak and BlackBerry and after the introduction of the iPhone. In the dividend investing, the Lindy effect is useful. We want to own dividend-paying stocks that will be around for a long time because it won't be good if we own a company now, but after a few years it will go bankrupt. Hence, companies that have been paying dividends regularly for a very long time are likely to continue doing so. These stocks are also called dividend aristocrats. So if your purpose is long-term dividends, buying dividend aristocrat stocks is the best decision. Check out with your broker to know which stocks have been paying dividends for the longest time. In the Philippines, you can check it out on the Philippine Stocks Exchange website. So one of the best ways to build passive income is to purchase high-paying and regular-paying stocks in the stock exchange. Tip number 2, cost averaging. Sometimes we have a tendency to buy stocks lump sum or one time big time. Let's say investing 10,000 pesos in full today, but next month all stocks started going down. To avoid this scenario and to avoid the so-called analysis paralysis, divide your 10,000 pesos into 4 weeks. So you invest 2,500 per week for 4 weeks. By doing this, you have invested in a certain stock at its average price for 1 month. If it goes down next week, you will be happy that you can buy it at a lower price. If it goes up next week, you will be happy that you already bought it at a lower price. This is called cost averaging because the price you paid is the average price. Tip number 3, diversification. So in the stock market, it's best if you invest in several companies that produce products and services that people use every day. Concentrating all your money in one industry, for example, is not ideal because if that industry will go down, your losses will not be mitigated. For example, if you invest in a coal company, what happens if one day the government decides to aggressively regulate coal? Of course, your investment will go down. But if you also have invested in solar and wind energy company as well, your losses will be mitigated or cushioned because your investments are spread out. This is called diversification. As a famous line from the novel Don Quixote says, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." Check out Matthew's book for more strategies, link in the description below. Tip number 4, not just dividend per share. So you may be tempted to only select a company that has a high dividend rate. For example, Company X declares a 3 pesos per share dividend, while Company Y declares 1 peso per share. So you may automatically choose Company X because it's higher, but be careful. Remember that once a company distributes dividends to the shareholders, they take that money from the profits that could have been reinvested back into the company or pay their debts. A high dividend rate does not always mean a highly ideal company for the long term. Also remember that dividend distribution is purely dependent on the discretion of the board of directors. So, a company's quality is also measured by who sits in their board of directors. You should also look at the company's history, income, profits, asset growth, and how consistently they distribute dividends in the past. If a company declares a high dividend this year but did not do so in the last 10 years, you should assess its other metrics to know about its health. You don't want to invest in a company that won't stay long after some time, or else you lose all your invested capital. Number 7 are REITs. REITs mean real estate investment trusts. These are companies established for the purpose of owning real estate projects such as apartment buildings, office, medical facilities, hospitals, hotels, resorts, highways, warehouses, shopping centers, railroads, among others. REITs allow the public to buy shares of ownership, and if you invest, you will enjoy consistent dividends. This is a form of indirect rental income because REITs are required by law to distribute the rental income to investors, unlike the typical companies where it is up to the board of directors to distribute dividends or not. In the Philippines, REITs are required by law to distribute at least 90% of their income to the investors each year. So with REITs, you are assured, as long as the company has made an income, you are assured to get dividends. If you don't have enough money to pay your equity for a real estate property, you can invest it first in REITs. Then you may feel that you are already a real estate investor in some way. Next are mutual funds. Unlike other forms of investments, mutual funds are managed by highly qualified professionals, hence they are considered safer. Instead of you studying the markets, monitoring the charts and current events, you simply determine what type of investor you are and when you would need the money. Then you may either call your mutual fund company or buy through your online broker. Mutual fund companies gather money from multiple investors. This is called pooling of funds. The person that manages it is called a money manager or fund manager. Every mutual fund has its own set of guidelines or prospectus, and the fund manager must follow this document. Otherwise, he may be liable for an offense called style drifting. So, this gives you confidence that a certain fund manager does not just haphazardly make impulsive decisions along the way. Mutual funds are also regulated by the government, particularly by the SEC. But unlike deposits, your money is not insured by PDIC or deposit insurance. Mutual funds allow you to invest in multiple or various companies with a relatively smaller capital. This allows you to enjoy diversification. Again, diversification is not putting all your eggs in one basket so that you won't suffer great losses if one industry goes down because it can be mitigated by another industry. However, the disadvantage of mutual funds is that it charges you fees. These may include annual fees, sales charges, taxes, and management fees, which will be charged even if your funds suffer losses. There are different types of mutual funds depending on the risk appetites and time horizons of investors. For example, money market funds are restricted by the government to low risk and high quality investments only. But since the risk is low, the returns are also low. One caveat for low risk investments is that the rate of inflation will eat up the growth of your investments. Hence, you end up losing money or break even. Bond funds are not restricted, therefore, it has higher risks but higher possible returns. In the Philippines, there is a home development mutual fund or pag-ibig where employers are required to contribute mandatorily partially for their employees. The charter or the law creating the said fund requires that 70% must be used to finance housing for the citizens. It also offers MP2 or modified pag-ibig 2 savings, which offers a higher dividend rate to contributors, encouraging everyone to save. Investing in government mandated contributions can be considered a more stable passive income stream because the state itself requires businesses or individuals to contribute to them. An ordinary people can loan from them and thus customers are guaranteed. Even if a customer cannot pay, the government may find other ways to pay its debts. So you as an investor can be confident that government supported funds can stay there for a longer period of time. Next is dropshipping. Dropshipping is like doing e-commerce like Amazon, Alibaba, or Shopee. You generally have a physical product and you sell it through an online interface. The magic here is that you don't carry or manage a physical warehouse or inventory. When someone buys from your online store, you then purchase the items from a third party and ship the item directly to your buyer. As a result, you as the seller or merchant never touches the product itself. Dropshipping allows you to sell products without investing thousands or millions in keeping an inventory and maintaining huge warehouses. There are two ways to dropship. Number one, find existing products to sell and dropship. Or number two, create your own product and find a manufacturer and dropship. To achieve the so-called passive income, you need to find a product that has a long-term marketability and not just something that is hot and trendy now but will only last for a while. If it's not long-term, it's no longer passive because you will keep updating them. The go-to platform for dropshipping is Shopify. They have a service called Oberlo that will guide you through the setup, and you may also find and buy existing Shopify stores. You may also check out existing e-commerce platforms in your country if they allow dropshipping or not. According to Rachel Richards, the number one secret to success is to invent your own product. Find a manufacturer and test the market. In the e-commerce space, if you sell a product, people can see your price, but they can easily search for competitors offering the same at a lower price. If your product is not unique, they will go to your competitor. So, the solution to this is to increase your pricing power. Create new, unique, and hard to imitate products so that your competition is low and you can dictate the price of your product without fear of losing customers. Sell gradually, test your market always. One way to earn passive income is by buying real estate property. In fact, this is the most widely available opportunity for everyone. Real estate investing is every man's opportunity to build wealth. Yes, there are people that got rich through tech and apps business, but with real estate, everyone can achieve it with a bit of grit, patience, and wise moves. Why you should invest in real estate property? First, real estate investing helps you fight inflation. Whatever the economic condition is, there is always a demand for homes and rents. So as a landlord, you can always increase charges as inflation rises. Unlike money in savings account, money in real estate increases higher. But take note that it is not as highly liquid as a savings or stock market account. You cannot quickly withdraw your money by selling your real estate immediately. However, if the title is under your name, you can use it as collateral to quickly borrow money. Second, you can leverage your existing property to further finance your real estate purchases. The rental money you receive from one can be placed to purchase another. This expands your assets. Next, real estate is stable. Over the years, real estate investments protect your assets from the volatility or ups and downs of markets. Experts confirm that investing in real estate is still a good idea even during recession, especially residential. In fact, people may even be buying real property during market volatility because of the lack of confidence in the economy. Also, people always need housing, and as long as your property is well maintained, you won't have trouble finding tenants. However, people during the pandemic lockdowns, we found that commercial rentals are more prone to risks than residential ones. Next, property appreciation. Through time, the value of land generally goes up, not down. In contrast, a car's value goes down after years of use. Study shows that in the last 100 years, residential real estate has kept up with inflation. Next is equity. When you buy real estate, usually you won't pay 100%. You will only pay a portion of it, around 20 to 25%. This is called equity. The rest you will only pay through financing, leveraging, or bank financing. You only pay for a fraction of its worth, and the rest you spread it out in the future. So, what are the ways to invest in real estate? Number one is house hacking. House hacking means finding ways to generate income from your home. Traditionally, it means you live in a duplex or triplex as your primary residence and you rent out the other unit so that the other payment will be used to pay your mortgage. You virtually live in a property for free, plus, it will be completely yours. Number two, property flipping. Property flipping is when you buy a house that needs a lot of work, fix it up, and sell it for profit. You must be willing to put in a lot of work to turn it around. But to make it a passive income stream, turn it into a long term residential rental property or Airbnb unit. But first, you have to do some research on the location. Is it viable for renters? Is there a good demand? Make a trip to the property, compare prices to nearby properties, ask for upcoming developments, safety situations, consult with real estate experts, brokers, appraisers, tenants, and landlords to get a bigger picture. Some more tips on real estate investing. If the thought of looking after the property or managing renters on a regular basis stresses you out, consider hiring a property manager. Also, don't mix business with charity. When a renter is delinquent, it's better to enforce your contract immediately and firmly. Otherwise, you will end up suffering losses. Don't over leverage. To leverage means to use borrowed money to purchase or develop a property with the hope of generating profits. If it's too much, you will be cleaned out if there is an economic downturn. This means that your collaterals may be foreclosed or be taken from you by your creditors because of non payment. Real estate expert Doug Skipworth said, "Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait." If you are challenged to start, consider partnership. Look for a partner to finance your dream project. Also, if you are 33 years old or below, you can take advantage of the government's 30-year loan program. In the Philippines, you can avail it under the Pag-ibig Housing Loan Program. Another strategy is owner or in-house financing. You may approach the owner who can carry your mortgage, talk to and share yourself as having the capacity to pay. Talk about your income, your job, your life situation, and how you will be able to pay the monthly amortization. Befriend him. Personally, I find it easier to avail owner financing rather than government or bank financing. Usually, the owner will allow up to maximum of 5 years to pay with an interest starting from 8% or 12% or the maximum of 18% so far as I've experienced. But you can negotiate or you can bargain with the owner to lower that interest. When your passive income has reached the amount of your cost of living, experts call you as a 100%er. But to be a 100%er or beyond, there are two common objections. These are number one, I have no time, and number two, I have no money. Don't have time? Sit down, look at your schedule, and identify the time wasters. Maybe we're spending too much time on streaming devices or social media. Can we cook instead of eating out? Can we cook all our food in 3 days and put them in the freezer? Maybe we can hire someone to do some tasks. View your time like money. Budget it, create a Google Calendar, and find time to create. Cut off anything that wastes your time. Don't have money? You can either decrease your spending or increase your income. Can you schedule your grocery or shopping during the sale? Can you get rid of certain appliances? Can you look for a higher paying job? These ways of creating passive income are good, but they're meaningless unless we take action. Starting can be difficult, but it is in starting that you can succeed. You may make mistakes, you may fail, but what if you succeed? Make time, save money, develop grit. Along the way, you will compile experiences that will make you better and smarter. Don't self prophesy of failure. This is a world of opportunity. Take risks and enjoy the journey. See yourself enjoying time and financial freedom, making the world around you a better place.